Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation of that message, it reads like this. Hello, how are you? Can you please post my own story? When I first tasted real money, this was when I was in South Africa. My brother, he had already been a part of a gang which operated from Shurugwi here in Zimbabwe. So this gang, what they used to do is that they would rob gold buyers, some of them that would be traveling from South Africa, coming to buy the illegal gold here in Zimbabwe. So that is how he came into contact with the South African gang. So this South African gang used to link up them with some clients that will be looking to purchase illegal gold. So the client will travel all the way from South Africa, having the money that he wanted to use to buy the gold and to return back to his country. And then the South African gang will give the information to my brothers so that they will rob the person. So that is how they used to operate as a syndicate. So much that the gold buyer will not even know that the place where I am going to, those people, they are going to rob me instead of giving the gold to me. So there was a time when my brother and his syndicate, they had been informed by their partner South African gang that there was someone that was going to come and buy gold. But then that person who was going to come and buy gold from them, he knew about this syndicate, the way that they were operating. He then found some people whom he was traveling with. So then they told my brother and his syndicate that they were supposed to bring the money in Beitbridge. That is where they were supposed to do the deal. My brother and his syndicate, they did not even suspect a thing. They met in Beitbridge and then they started shooting at each other when the deal went wrong. Unfortunately, my brother was shot in Beitbridge and he passed away. So before my brother had passed away, he had given me contacts of this other man whom he told me was also part of another gang, and he could help me in life if things will ever go wrong. He used to say, my brother, this type of a job that I do, when I go to work, it is not a guarantee that I will return back home alive. So if anything will ever happen to me, take this number. You tell this man that it is I, your brother, who has sent you to him. So that is what I did. I connected with that man. When I arrived in Soshanguve, that was when I found out that this man, he used to connect your armed robbers to those clients that wanted to have ATMs bombed. So he would connect us to those type of clients that wanted to do a money heist at the ATMs. When an ATM bombing takes place, it is not an easy thing. Only a real man can stand close, because the blast alone, it can make you to go so scared. There was this other young man from Alexandra. He even ended up cacking his pants. We laughed about it when it happened, but sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes things will go according to plan. And then there was such a night when it all went wrong. This was in the year 2008. We went to this other patrol station in Pretoria, waiting for further instructions. We waited there until the early hours of the morning. It was us 4 men that were hidden in that car, and we were not making a lot because the boss is the owner of the money heist. He is the one who makes money out of that deal. So we just wanted some money to survive. And the problem that happened to me was that when I came to South Africa, when I became friends with some South African gangsters, those that do money heists, those people, they just do a money heist today, then they go and buy expensive clothes, your BMWs. They are always spending money, so they are always broke. A person can have money today, tomorrow they are broke. So I also forgot that I came from Zim. I started working with those men as we were making money. We waited at that petrol station in Pretoria whilst we were waiting for the early hours of the morning, which we called the sweet early morning, when people start to have nice dreams. That is when most people break into other people's home around 3 to 4 a.m. That was the time that we would operate, when it is like really quiet. So we went to this other ATM, and that was the instructions that we had been given. With us, there was another guy who had been a special forces guy. He knew everything about bombs and bombing things. So he went close to the ATM, knelt beside it, and he started stuffing some kind of an explosive, which we called jelly night, into the cash slot. When you do that, you have to get out of that place so quick. When he was done, it was like clear the area. Then we ran, and then there was a huge boom as the ground was shaking. After that, that was when we went close. After the dust had settled, we went to the ATM. It was wide open, and inside we saw that there were thousands and thousands of friends. That was not the instruction, the only instruction for the night. We patrolled different areas, and in total we had managed to collect 3 million in 5 ATMs. We then went to our boss's house, and then our boss, he gave each and everyone his share, and he said to me, since you are a Zim guy, you need to return back to your country. If you can leave the country like now, so that they won't catch up with you. So the other guys, they were my friends. They said, let's just have a braai, one more braai before you return back to your country. So I had been friends with these guys, and their lifestyle was so nice. So I said, what harm will it do to me? One more time. So the boss, Uncle Joe, had warned us that we should lay low for a few weeks, but as for me, his instruction was like, return back home for now, whilst the heat is still on you. So I did not do that. Because of greed, we kept on spending money, and after the bride, that was when I communicated with this other woman that I was dating. So I went to her place. I spent some days with my girlfriend at her house in Johannesburg. I had a charmer's backpack. That is where I had all the money that I had been given by my boss. I would throw money at her, insulting her baby daddy because she had a child with a South African guy who was unemployed. So I was throwing money at him, claiming that her baby daddy was a kindergarten boy. And what I do is that when I drink beer, I am that type of a person who will just start to insult everyone. In Shona, we call it marambadoro. It means that the alcohol has totally refused you. You insult everyone. And when I get drunk, I tell everyone that I have money. People knew that this is what I used to do. Once I get drunk, I'll tell you all the money that I have in my wallet. So I think the person that rated me was my girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, the one that I was insulting, saying that he's just a kindergarten boy. Because when he heard that I was with his girlfriend, he came to me, but he was afraid to fight with me. So I said, you are just a small boy. I took 7,000 rand from my charmer's backpack, and I said, here, take this, you kindergarten boy, and go and buy some underwears, since you are still a small boy. When I was sober, I started to regret everything that I had done. So I said, I have insulted a lot of people, telling them that I am very rich. It is time that I escape from South Africa, but it was already too late. When I was busy preparing to leave for Zim, that was when on the third day, the South African police just kicked down my girlfriend's door, and just like that, I was arrested and the game was over. I did spend most of my years at Venda. That was where I was locked up, because what had happened was that we had done another armed robbery there and we had never been caught. But once you are in the prison system, hey, each and every crime that you have done, it is going to find you. It was hell there in Venda, because the gangs were ruling everything. What they were doing was that when it is time to eat, like we would get bread and baked beans, so they will take the baked beans and wash them. They will wash it clean, such that you are only eating food without salt. And the big boys in the prison, those are the ones that will be eating all of your food. And I was losing so much weight in that prison where I was the only guy at that time from Zim and another guy from Mozambique. So we were being targeted at all the times. Then after 15 years, that was when I was finally free. But the problem is that when you get get into prison, they make you to fight against other prisoners. What they will do, the big boys in the prison, they will take the toothbrush and then they will file it such that it will become so sharp as if it is a knife. In 2023, that was when I was released. I thought that I was free, I could start afresh, but you know what they did to me? They did me dirty, the South African Correctional Service, because my freedom meant nothing to them. I was released and I was deported. That was the most painful thing. I even cried because they wanted to rearrest me again for not having a passport on me. Once I had walked out of the correctional facilities, I only walked for a couple of meters and then I saw that the immigration van, it was just standing there. I thought that maybe they were waiting for someone else, but yet it was waiting for me. What they did to me was a release and catch on me. And that girl, Makwena, that girl, she never even bothered to visit me, because when I was arrested, first I was taken to the nearest police station in her location. I thought that she was going to hire at least a lawyer that would fight in my corner. Makwena never bothered to even visit me. She ignored me. So those other South African guys that I used to be friends with, they had their own girlfriends. So after a robbery, they would give their girlfriends money so that if anything bad happens, then the girlfriend will go and pay the bill. Not for Makwena. After I had given her 120,000 rands and I said, my love, my wife, my woman, this is the money that I have given to you. I want you to take care of yourself because of this money so that we can start to plan for our future. As for your kids, here is another money. I do not want you to use that 120, my wife, because I love you. She was just taking and taking money from me, and she even forgot about me. After I had been arrested, she never visited me, even a lawyer. Why didn't she at least take 10,000 at least to just find a lawyer for a day to come and speak with me? She could have hired one, but she showed me that women are she-devils. When I was then released, because there was these other human rights organizations that came to my rescue after Home Affairs wanted to take me to Lindela, I started crying and I said, after 15 years, now I am going to be arrested again, taken to court. But then I was released after that and I was deported. I arrived back in Harare. You know, when I was at Mbudzi intersection, I could not even remember the place anymore, for my country had changed. I had spent 15 years behind bars. When I arrived at the location where I grew up staying at Epworth, I said, who is going to assist me? I had no money. I had nothing. There was no family member that was willing to welcome me because they knew my attitude about me. When I was still back in South Africa, I used to call myself a South African, spending money with South African women. So they had all forgotten about me and they were angry at that time because of the money that I had. It was quite a lot, close to 500,000 that I had been given by my boss, and I used it all up. Within 1 week, that money was gone, spent it on women. So that was when I remembered these other old men who were staying in Morewa. When my brother was still alive, he would take me to that traditional healer. Since he was robbing people, he had to use some charms so that he can be strengthened and he won't get arrested. So he would go there to get spiritual help. I also said, let me go to that old man because of the nightmares that I was having. When I arrived in prison there in Venda, they forced me to fight with another weaker inmate who was already sick at that time. When we started fighting, they kept on saying, fight, fight, fight. So they had given us weapons, those toothbrush that they had felt as if they were sharp knives. So I then stabbed him badly. This was a matter between life and death. If he was not going to die, I was going to die. That is the law of the jungle. When you are in prison, you do what you are told to do. And the next morning, when the correction guys came in, they found him. He was not okay. No one could even say what had happened, because once you tell the prison guards that this is what has happened, there was a fight that broke out last night, you are going to be in trouble. Later on, that guy ended up passing away because of the injuries. So after he had passed away, I was never okay in prison. All those 15 years that I was behind bars, the correctional services was always monitoring me because I was now suicidal. I had suicidal tendencies because of what had happened. It is not an easy thing to do. So I told myself that it is far much better for me to kill myself. And I used to have nightmares. That man that I had stabbed during the fight, he would visit me in my dreams and he would be like, look at me, I am dead. Look at you, you are alive. How about you just kill yourself? Kill yourself, kill yourself. So I ended up being depressed, being suicidal. When I arrived at that traditional healer's house, that is what I wanted. I wanted help so that he can help me to chase away the spirit of that man who was haunting me. And then he said it was going to be easy. We had to chase this spirit and then it was going to possess one of my cousin brother's child. And there were rituals that were supposed to be done. So he gave me a lucky charm bottle saying that this is what is going to happen to help you in your business so that you can have a good life since you have spent so many years doing nothing in prison. I took that lucky charm bottle and then at midnight, that was when we performed another ritual. A clay pot was placed before me, then the Sangoma slit a god's throat and then he filled the pot with the god and then he told me that I had to write the names of all the people that I wanted to sacrifice. He said, you have to do this in order to live a good life. With everything that I had lost, I said it is far much better for me to at least enjoy life for once. For 15 years had been wasted whilst I was in prison. So I wrote 9 names that belonged to my relatives and he said, if they die, then your money is going to come. The only problem that was there was that after my hands had been so itchy and he said that very soon you're going to make money, but there is something that is blocking you from making money. This relative of yours that you have sacrificed 9 of them, they cannot just die like that. There is one who is supposed to open the door in Shona. He said, kuvurira vamwe nzira. He is the one who will die first. After you would have died, you will leave the open door so that the spirit of death can visit our family whenever it wanted. The problem was that the one that I had chosen to be my first sacrifice, my cousin Prosper, who is staying there in South Africa, he started going to this other church which is called Johann Masowe, a white garment church. So when he went there, because of how his son was sick, he was then told that there was something that was happening in the family. The spirit of death wanted to visit him. Whilst I was waiting, nothing was happening. No death, no accident, no any of my relatives complaining of mysterious illnesses. I waited and my life remained cursed. The nightmares, they were there until we found out why. My first target, my cousin Prosper, he was getting all of these prayers from his white garment church and they were holding all-night prayers in Shona Roto at his house, fasting. So the spirits, they could not reach him. The Sangoma said, the prayers are blocking your spells. Let's try harder. This is how we tried harder. So the Sangoma then told me that I was supposed to go into town, and when I would have gone to town, I was supposed to eat human waste, human feces. So in town here in Harare, there is a place, a taxi rank that is called Market Square. There are some public toilets there. They have not been cleaned in a couple of years. So there is human poop that is there. I would go into town each and every morning. This I was told for 3 days I had to do it. I would go there. It was so stinking, walking amongst human feces and then pick up one. So I told myself that in order for me not to vomit, I told myself that I won't take the poop that will be fresh, but the one that will have dried out, the one that will be crusty, that is what I was eating. I had no choice at all. This was me strengthening that tokoloshi that had been given to me by that traditional healer. Even when my brother visited us here in Zim, he was at his place in the rural areas. So I went and I visited him. He did not know that I had brought with me some charms as well as some candles that I had been told to go and bury at his homestead. When everyone was fast asleep, they had made me to sleep in the kitchen. I then went outside and I looked for a pick and I started digging and digging. I was even using my hands. When I saw that the hole was big enough, I then buried the candles. And after I had buried the candles, and then I covered everything, and then I returned back to bed, but it did not even work. He even gave me a snake. This snake is the one that he uses at his shrine. It went there, but still there had been some white garment prophets that had been at Prosper's house, but still the snake was unable to get inside so that it can hurt Prosper. That is the problem that I am facing. Prosper is the one who is supposed to die first, and if he cannot die first, then it means that I cannot have money. I am looking for anyone that can assist me in this situation that I am facing, because I am now depressed like I used to be when I was still in prison. I do wake up at 2 a.m. each and every night. I can't sleep. I can't go to bed because of that spirit that is haunting me. When you post my story, please tell me. I'll be following through in the comment section. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our brother right there, hoping that you were able to understand this translation. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world.